All right, everybody, this is Sheets, and I'm going to be going over my analysis for the Breeders' Cup uh, races on Saturday, November 6th. I did look at the Friday races, November 5th, and they're just terrible. I mean, they're all 2-year-old races. I tried my best to come up with something worthwhile, and it's really just an atrocious betting card. So I'm not even going to worry about that at all. But what I am going to do is I'm going to go through the races on Saturday, the big Breeders' Cup races. There are 8 of them. And what I'm not going to do is what I usually do in DFS when I do my lessons and my videos. I'm not going to spend a lot of time or much time going over how I come up with my picks and how to bet horse racing and teaching you process and things like that. This is going to be the exact opposite of what I usually like to do. And what I'm going to be doing is just telling you where I think the value is, what you probably should be betting, and how to, and what to do. I mean, really, I don't want to get into how to play horse racing, how I come up with any of this stuff. It's just no time. This is just for people that want to play the Breeders' Cup. They want to know who I like. They want to know who to bet on. This is what that's all about. And so a couple of things that I want to just remind you of. You really don't want to bet any horses ever with more than 5 minutes to post. Okay, whether it's the Breeders' Cup, Kentucky Derby, whatever it is. If you can avoid it, you want to wait as long as possible because you want to know what your odds are, and there's literally no benefit to you in betting 5 hours ahead of time or a day ahead of time or whatever ahead of time if you're only going to get the priced odds anyway at the end. So wait to see what's going on. Wait to see for late scratches, and what I'm going to be doing is basically discussing where I think the value could be. But at the end, I mean, if somebody I say, ooh, is a good bet at 10-1 goes off at even money, I hope you realize to not bet them. Okay. But I think I have an idea of where the favorites are going to be based on the morning lines and where the value is going to be. So we're just going to go ahead and do this. All right, so the first race that we're going to talk about, it's 3:05 p.m. Eastern Time, the Filly and Mare Sprint, and this is probably one of the least exciting races from a betting perspective. You're going to have 3 to 5 morning line odds. Horse that would be Gamine, probably going to go off even less than that. And then you have a couple of horses that are going to take some money, Bella Sophia and Cece, and the rest are going to take no money at all. Where it'd be nice to get a big long shot, it's just not going to happen in this race. What I would say is that CC does have some kind of thin value. Like I regard CC as just about equal to Gamine. So with that being said, if you can get, say, I don't know, you can actually get 5-1 on CC, then I would do it. Definitely don't want to bet Gamine at even money. I wouldn't even bet Gamine at 8-5. Bella Sophia, I'd probably bet if you can get 4-1, 5-1 maybe. But CC, I think, is probably, if anybody, would be value. So if you want to hook CC up with something later, like daily doublers or pick threes or whatever, you could use CC. But as we'll get to later, there's actually a really good bet that I like. So what you might want to do is use all 3 of these in this leg of the pick 3, pick 4, whatever, because there really is no value. And if you just don't want the action, you just play all 3 of them and lead you into some of these later races. But there really is no value here. I would, if anything, maybe play CC, maybe only to get 5-1, and then just kind of move on to the next race. All right, and so the next race is the Turf Sprint, which is about 3:40 Eastern Time. These are usually about a half hour apart, with respect, except for the last race, which is usually they start to get a little more distance in between the races as you get to the bigger ones. So I actually do like 3 horses in this race that are all really, really good values. At least it seems that way, at least for the morning lines. So Caravel at 20-1 is an extremely good bet at that price. I don't know if it's going to stay there, but if you can get, say, even 12-1, 15-1, I think that's really, really strong value. Gear Jockey looks good, but it's probably not going to be a great price. As a matter of fact, I mean, unless you're getting maybe 10-1, I don't know if I'd really want to play this one. But Caravel at 20-1 is really, really strong. And also an extremely strong play is Fast Boat at 12-1. So Fast Boat is currently I think the 11, but just double check your entry numbers. And Caravel, I think those two are just extraordinarily good values. So, if you wanted to play exactas with those, they're going to pay billions. If you want to play either of them to win, you could do that. If you want to play daily doubles with those kind of chalky horse in the first race that I talked about into this, you can do that. They give you opportunities to play whatever you want, whether it's FanDuel, ExpressBet, TVG, whatever. I use ExpressBet, but whatever you want. I mean, you're going to get doubles and pick threes every freaking race on Breeders' Cup Day especially. So this is a really big value race. Caravel, Gear Jockey, not really, but so Caravel and Fast Boat in the turf sprints. All right, the next race, I wish I could make this up. It's the Big Ass Fans Dirt Mile at 4:19 p.m. Eastern Time. So the interesting part of this race is this. There's this horse, Restrained Vengeance, who is 20-1, and it's probably not going to win, but I think that it's enough value where you could use him in exactas with some of the more logical horses. Okay, so you were talking about a horse like Silver State, Ginobili, Life is Good. All of those are more likely to win than Restrained Vengeance. But I do think that Restrained Vengeance does have some value here. Okay, so maybe you could play exactas with Restrained Vengeance. Life is Good looks really, really strong. I don't know if you could beat it. Maybe Ginobili, Silver State's okay, but I think the value is in Restrained Vengeance here. So if you are really risky, you want to do it. You could play Restrained Vengeance to win or put it on top of stuff. But in reality, maybe the more conservative play that'll still give you upside is maybe Life is Good on top of Restrained Vengeance and exactas. That could end up being a good play. But Restrained Vengeance is definitely the best value on the board. I mean, I'd say it's going to be 20-1 and probably wins one out of, I don't know, maybe every 12 times, every 13 times. So that is some inherent value there. So in this race, the Big Ass Mile, I'd like Restrained Vengeance as the value, and everybody else, just nothing really to speak of in this race. Okay, the next race is the Filly and Mare Turf Race, which is about 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And this race is probably the best betting race of the day. I really like a couple of things in this race. I think if I had to say right now, I think my overall favorite value play, maybe on the whole board, the whole day, is number 2, Pocket Square. It's 15-1 morning line. I give it at least a 10% chance to win. And again, in horse racing, that's a pretty big edge. So I like Pocket Square a lot here. I think at 15-1, it's an extremely strong value. In addition to that, I do like Going to Vegas, number 1 at 12-1. I think that's a really, really good value as well. And the rest of it, I do think the favorites look pretty good. Like, I think Rougier at 6-1 looks pretty good. I think that Loves Only You at 4-1 looks pretty good. And there's another Love horse in here as well. Love actually looks pretty good as the favorite. But this Pocket Square is really, really strong. And then Going to Vegas looks pretty good too. So I would make sure to bet both these. I would box the two of them. I'd put Pocket Square on top. I'd put Pocket Square on maybe on top and bottom with even like kind of the chalkier horses like Rougier, Love, and not Love actually, Loves Only You. I would keep Pocket Square in pick threes, pick fours, doubles. I would use Going to Vegas and pick threes, pick fours, doubles too. I think both these horses are extremely, extremely strong values. Maybe if I had to put my finger on it, maybe the best value in the entire Breeders' Cup. So that would be my take. The sprint race is usually a much bigger field, but it doesn't matter because it's really not the greatest betting race either. So almost every horse has a chance in this race, honestly. If I had to put my finger on the top value, I would say Aloha West and Frenzy Fire. Those would be my two, I guess, my two best values. They all look pretty similar to me as far as the sheets go, but I think that Aloha West and Frenzy Fire, those would be the horses that I would key as value here. I would key them again alongside of the pocket square race. I'd put doubles and triples and pick threes and whatever else you got. And then if you let's say we don't win the last race and we're dead, I would start new ones off maybe with Aloha West and Frenzy Fire. I do think these are the best values in the race at these prices. If they're both go off, say 5-1, then I probably wouldn't bet them. But if you get 8-10 to 1 on these horses, I think that Aloha West and Frenzy Fire are going to be the best plays. Okay, the FanDuel Breeders' Cup Mile is an absolutely impossible betting race. Almost everybody is equal. Almost everybody has a chance to win, and I would not touch this. The only thing that you could do is, all right, I'll give you one. The one that I think I like the most is Hit the Road, the 8-horse. So the 8-horse at 15-1 is extremely strong. Blowout is good too, but I think at 15-1, again, let's say you want the action, you haven't, you're not alive with anything else. I would definitely, I would say Hit the Road at 15-1 is probably the best value of the race. But it's not a race that has a lot of really big standouts or anything like that. It's not as though Hit the Road is an incredibly great play, but I do think that it's the best play in this race. I'm probably going to be keying it especially if I'm dead going into this race. I do want, continue to have the action. So I am probably going to end up keying this at the end. I mean, it's probably like a 6 as far as a 1 to 10 value, which is probably good enough. So I am going to go with that, but Hit the Road is best value in a very, very wide open FanDuel Mile. Okay, in the Longines Distaff at about 7 p.m. Eastern time. The favorite looks pretty solid in Latruska, but there are two horses that I think are not, well, one of them is pretty equal. That would be Malathot at 3. I think Malathot is maybe just slightly less likely to win than Latruska. So if you do end up in a situation where Latruska is say 6-5 and Malathot really is 4 or 5-1, then you could certainly make a case for Malathot. The other one, again, this is a little speculative, but is Clairiere, the 5. And I think these 3 are really the only contenders in the race. It's going to be Latruska, Clairiere, Malathot, and I would, I would try it. I would try Malathot at 4 or 5-1. I would use it at the back end of doubles and pick threes. I would throw in Clairiere too. And I would use Latruska, especially if you're going to play long shots in these previous races. Like if you're going to get the King of the Road or Hit the Road in the previous race and some of the other long shots that we talked about, it would be a shame if Latruska won and you got too greedy and didn't have it. So I would use Latruska to kind of finish up some of your, some of your daily doubles and trifectas and things like that. And not double trifectas, daily doubles, pick threes, things like that. But overall, Malathot, I think, is probably the best value. Well, Malathot, Clairiere at 12-1. I think those two are very similar. But Latruska is definitely, it's not like a terrible favorite, but at 6-5, which is probably what she's going to be, I would probably stay away. Okay, down the home stretch, the final 2 races. You have the Longines Turf 1.5-mile race. And there's 2 horses I like a lot here. And it looks like one of them was scratched. So I like one horse a lot here, actually. And that is going to be actually 2. We like the 7 Walton Street. Very, very good 8-1 shot. And if you want a big long shot, we could try Tribhuvan, the 5. That was really funny because I thought that domestic spending was almost going to be, I don't want to say a lock. I was worried about whether I could think that Walton Street was better than domestic spending or they were equal. And I thought they were going to be equal, but now that domestic spending is scratched, Walton Street, I mean, it's not going to be 8-1 anymore, but I think that's fine. I think that if you get 5-1 on Walton Street, I think that's really, really good. And Tribuvan is probably my favorite of the bunch of long shots that I do think do have a shot. So I do like Walton Street as the top play, top value, and then Tribuvan is kind of a hoodoo second long shot, where again, use them pick threes, pick fours, exact if you want, etc. Okay, so now we're at the Longines Classic, the big one of the day, and unfortunately, if you've waited all this time, unfortunately, I can't say there's incredibly good value in this race. I'll give you my analysis or whatever it is. I don't think Knicks to go is the greatest favorite in the world. I would say that the most likely winner, if that helps you, is Essential Quality. As far as like these middling horses, I don't like Hot Rod Charlie and Medina Spirit and Max as much, maybe some of the others, but they have a chance. I shouldn't say that. Max Player at 8-1 is kind of okay value. And also Tripoli at 15-1. I mean, it's honestly fairly priced. It's going to win one every 15 times, but it definitely does have a shot. So unfortunately, there's not a lot of value here in the Classic, at least the way I look at it. Art Collector. Oh yeah, Art Collector might be a good value. That would be pretty much it. I mean, I would honestly, if I'm going to keep it real, I mean, if you're not alive with anything to this race, I wouldn't really bet it. And I would try to be alive to this race so you don't have to make these decisions. You want action. So, if you get through with the Walton in the previous race, you do want to have some spread action over here. So I would use almost everybody. I would use everybody except for Express Train and Stiletto Bay. I think they all have a shot. So unfortunately, the majority of the value has nothing to do with the biggest race on the day, but that's just kind of the way it goes. So that's all I have for the Breeders' Cup. And if you want to bet on Express Bet, if you've never played there, you could use True DFS as actually a whatchamacallit, a promo code. And I'm sure they give you some kind of benefit over there, but you can bet wherever you want. And that's it. Hope you guys win. Hope you guys, I promise you, you'll be getting good value. That's the best I can do for you. I can't control how these horses run. But I promise you're getting good value if you follow what I said. And maybe you get a good sweat. Maybe you get a long shot that's fighting down the lane. And if we get lucky, we get lucky. That'll do it. Hope you guys have a good weekend.